All right, says we're live. How are we doing today, people? So today's talk is validation, and everybody, for some reason, deciding they need it from other people. Uh, so I guess I just don't really understand. Never really had that a whole lot. I did when I was younger. Got over that early 20s, something like that. So we're going to talk about that, the importance of self-validation, especially in today's society. What is self-validation? Some definitions, explanations, negative effects of seeking validation from others. Uh, there's some stuff we'll get into on that. Benefits of your own self-validation. There's an awful lot of benefits involved in this. So, and then some tips to practice self-validation strategy, whatnot, some things like that. And we'll wrap up on that. So, got a few points here get going through. So, how's everybody doing tonight? Do me a favor, smash the like button. Gotta remember to do this in the beginning. This is something new. I keep screwing that part up. Smash the like button, subscribe, share this with somebody if you think they need it. I'm trying to get a bit of a message out there to a lot of young guys, and I think a lot of young guys growing up today just need help with stuff like this. A lot of people in general. So, important of self-validation in today's society. Everybody's seems to be under constant pressure to meet other people's expectations. Why? The only expectations you need to meet are your own. And you should set very high ones and set them for yourselves. It doesn't really matter what other people think, what they expect from you, because they're at the end of the day, they're not the ones who are going to take care of you and be there with you throughout life. People come, people go. It's just the way it is. So learning to break that habit and do your own self-validation it's just going to have a positive impact on your life all the way around. So a big negative impact from seeking validations from others is you're dependent on external factors for your self-worth. And you should never do that, because when you're relying on somebody else to provide your self-worth, it's hard to measure expectations, because it's just a natural thing in people, the way we are. As much as we want to communicate and as much as we try to, I can never give you 100% clarity of exactly what's in my mind. You can never give me 100% clarity of exactly what's in yours. So trying to seek your validation is something that's going to be virtually impossible to obtain, because no matter how well you are at articulating what you're thinking, there are going to be slight nuances that I'm going to miss, and vice versa. So trying to seek validation from others is literally a waste of time. And it's a waste of your mental bandwidth and your energy. And you're just going to put yourself through hell for no reason. So anyhow, like I say, the purpose of today's article is to teach you to, practice self-validation. There's a lot of empowerment through believing in yourself and deciding that you are the one who decides what you're worth, not somebody else. Nobody decides my worth. I declare it on my own. I really don't care what people think. Like I've said many times before, I live by the three greatest words in the English language. I don't care. Now, that doesn't mean I don't care about anything. The things I care about a lot. But the things that are beyond my control, it's not my problem. I just don't. So what is self-validation? So let's get into a bit of a definition and explanation of it. So it's kind of like, it's the act of accepting and acknowledging your own thoughts and feelings and your experiences. Part of that with self-validation is you're going to have to accept, or learn to accept, is you're going to make mistakes along the way. You're going to have failures. We all do. So what? You learn from them. In fact, like I've said before in the past, may you be blessed with many difficult decisions, because if you've got difficult decisions, you're on the right path. If your decisions are easy, you're not trying, and you need to put a little more effort in. Acknowledging your worth and your value as a person is independent of external factors. When you decide that you have a value and you have worth, like I have a value that I offer to people. I have a value I offer to my friends. I have a value that I offer to my customers and my clients. And I'm proud of this value, and I charge a fair price for it. I make decent money for what I do. And I should, because I provide value and I work hard for it. I make sure that I live up to that value. That is part of self-validation is, I consider myself to be a high value person. So if I'm going to consider myself to be a high value person, I need to hold myself to a very high standard to be that high value person, which is a part of self validation and gets you to realize that you don't need it from somebody else. You know, everybody today in their phones and Instagram and, oh my God, I didn't get any likes and oh, woe was me. And I really don't care. Look at my followership. It's squat. I really don't care. It's, to me, this is fun. I enjoy it. You know, if nobody watches, nobody watches. Doesn't matter. I'm going to do it anyways because, you know, I do it for myself and I do it for the few people that really enjoy it. Everybody else, I really don't care. I hope you do get something out of it. And if you do, once again, like I said, share it. But if you don't, this is the other thing is everybody nowadays seems to have this preclusion that, you know, if somebody says something that offends them or they don't like it, you know, we need to cancel them. This is a big part of self-validation. You need to validate yourself and get them silenced and shut up. Exercise your right to change the channel. Exercise your right to turn it off and not listen. You don't have a right to not be offended. Welcome to life. I don't have a right to not be offended. It's difficult to offend me because I just don't take a whole lot of offense to it because I really don't care. When you live life like that, it's a lot easier to live, a lot better way to be. So some benefits of being able to be your own source of your validation is the autonomy and the independence. I don't worry about what other people think. Makes me very free. I, you know, if I decide, you know, I'm just going to get up in the morning, throw a hoodie on and a hat and go for breakfast and I'm not combing my hair and I really don't care. You know, some people have to be perfect and presentable when they leave home. Like, you want to talk about freedom? I just don't care. You know, the autonomy and the independence. I go and live life how I choose to live it. It's not that I don't take care of myself. I do, but there's days where it's just not important. And, you know, and everybody has their own sense of that. Some people's is their validation is they need to be, you know, presented and perfect all the time, which then you're probably seeking other people's validation. You know, if you're doing it for yourself and you enjoy it, like, you know, I work out because I like the way I look. I don't go to the gym for a fashion show. In fact, quite the opposite. I dress like crap and nobody looks at me because it's ugly when I go to work out. It's a physical, mental, as hard as I can push myself. So with all this, your mental and emotional well-being will be improved when you validate for yourself. Because when you approve of yourself, and this is a hard one to get through your head and wrap yourself around, is when you approve of yourself, when you decide, you know what, I am enough. I am a good person. And I'm doing what I should be doing. I'm living on my purpose and I'm chasing it. Um, your whole mental and emotional well-being will improve because when you tell yourself that, you will start to believe it. You'll start to want to do better because you're even more proud of the fact that you're holding yourself accountable to these levels. And you'll become more comfortable. You become more happy. Your mental state of mind will be better. You know, you'll just be better off all the way around. Self-validation is different than self-esteem and self-confidence. It can lead to it and will help build it. However, self-esteem is how you view yourself. Self-confidence is belief in your abilities. Self-validation is acceptance of yourself, regardless of external validations, which means your belief in your abilities. You know, understand what you can do, understand the things that you're not very good at. The things that you are good at, you can probably do better. The things that you're maybe not quite as good at, you can also probably do better. You just have to want to push those boundaries and get yourself to that point. You know, and you should be pushing yourself always to get better. And when you accept the fact that you might fail along the way, but it doesn't matter because you're trying, you're putting in effort, you're doing your best to improve yourself, improve your station in life, your business, your relationships, your career, who you are as a person, all of that. When you are trying to become better and you accept that, failure will come with that. Failure won't bother you at all. And this will boost your self-confidence and your self-esteem because you'll realize that, you know, part of getting better is making mistakes and learning from them. We all make them. Trust me, I've made a crap load of them, and learning to accept them and be okay with it. Like I say, I make mistakes every single day. I try to be accountable for them. I try to do better and move on. And when you do that, it's life is better that way. So some of the negative effects of seeking validation from others. When you're trying to get other people's validation, you're seeking to conform to society's expectations and norms. And society nowadays is mostly, let's face it, it's fucked up. So trying to conform yourself into this warped way the world sees things nowadays, you're not being your authentic self. So you'll never feel that sense of self-esteem. You'll never feel that sense of self-confidence, because even though you may not realize it because you're trying to fit in up front, deep down back in the hindbrain, in your lizard brain, you're going to know that you are being dishonest, and you're not going to be happy with yourself, and you're not going to feel good about yourself. And it's going to be on a subconscious level that you aren't even aware of and you have no control over. That part of you is going to know that this part of you is a fraud and is not going to like it. It's not going to like you. It's not going to allow you to truly be free and truly be happy. Harm. So the constant need to seek approval from others, piss on it. Approve of yourself. It's really all that matters. Your group of friends, your good group of friends. You should have a group of friends around you who accept you no matter what mistakes you make, and aren't scared to point those mistakes out and help you learn from them, help you grow from them. We all have that. If all you're doing is seeking everybody else's approval to be the best you can be, or to be what they all think you should be, and you're getting it all the time, somebody's not being honest with you. There's things I've said before. Nobody agrees with somebody 100% of the time. So if somebody is agreeing with everything you say or everything you do, or telling you you're doing, you're fantastic at everything you do, they're lying to you, because everybody has deficiencies. So I want people around me who will point them out, because I know I have them. And my friends, I'm the same way with them. Like, hey, you could do better at this. These are important things. So, and another big thing with the whole trying to get the approval from everybody else is people are comparing themselves to one another. You're looking at your friends or other people, and the attention they're getting maybe on social media or whatever else in life, and you're trying to compare yourself to that, and you shouldn't, because they aren't you. You aren't them, and there's no point in comparing yourself to them. What you do is you compare yourself to yourself. How am I compared to today compared to what I was yesterday? Am I better? And if you're better than you are yesterday, you're succeeding and moving in the right way. If you're not, then you're not doing things the right way. And that is really the only comparison you should ever have of yourself, is with your past self. Are you better than you used to be? If you are, you're on the right path and you're moving the right direction. There's your validation. You're making progress because you are better than you were. That's progress. There's your validation. So that's all you need. So, and trying to get it from somebody else is very fragile, because you're beholden at somebody else's opinion. And if they decide, they're having a bad day and there's an emotional disconnect, they decide to not give it to you that day, or decide they don't like you for whatever reason, now that goes away, and you feel like you're worthless because you don't have that approval from somebody else. And you shouldn't have been seeking it in the first place, because their approval is nice, but it should not be your defining factor. It shouldn't matter. Like I said, it's nice. It's great. I love it when my friends tell me I'm doing a good job and that I'm on the right path and going the right direction. It gives me motivation to do more. But I don't live on that. It's also, okay, then, I'm doing well here. What parts what parts of my weak at? What areas am I weak at? What do I need to work on? What do I need to get better at? When you're doing those, that's your own sense of accomplishment and purpose. So, some of the benefits of self-validation is the autonomy, increased autonomy and independence. Like I said, when you are your own source of it, you're more free to explore yourself. I've actually got somebody coming on here shortly. When I posted what I was going to talk about tonight, he had a response that it was great. I loved it. And instantly I'm like, you got to come on with me. You got to talk about this because you hit a point really well, and I want you to expand on it. So I'm going to bring him on shortly here. But having that increased autonomy and independence, you'll start to make decisions based on your own beliefs and your own values, not what somebody else wants, not what somebody else expects, not for someone else's approval. And that makes you your more authentic self. Along the way, you may lose some people. Guess what? You want to lose them, because the people who you're going to lose that aren't going to like you or give you their acceptance when you're being authentic aren't your people. And when you are being authentic, the people who are your people will come to you. And that's when life will really get better, because now you are living your life and you're making decisions based on your own values, on your own beliefs. And the people who gravitate towards you because of that authenticity, those are the people who are going to build you up and actually help you accomplish something in your life. This is a very, very critical, important thing you need to get your head around. It's going to improve your mental well-being, your self-esteem, and self-confidence with this, because now you're getting your own approval. You're your own source of approval. You're making decisions based on your own beliefs, your own values, the things that are important to you. You're being authentic to yourself as to who you truly are. And when the people around you at that point come in and the others have left and they help build you up, it's going to make you realize that you are even better than you thought you were. And your self-confidence and your self-esteem is going to rise even higher. Your stress is going to go down. Anxiety is going to go down because you're not seeking that. You now know that the approval you're getting from these new people who are in your life is genuine approval, because once again, like I said, you're now living on your own values and your own beliefs. So you are living who you truly are, and the people that are now around you are supporting you and helping you be that and helping you be better, and they're proud of you for it. Stress will literally melt away. Anxiety will go away. Life will improve all the way around. Not everybody in life is going to like you. It's a fact. Get used to it. So trying to seek validation from others is pointless, because literally half the people on the planet are going to hate your guts. It's just the way it is. 20% are going to like you really well. Maybe 10% are going to love you. So trying to seek validation from somebody else is pointless, because the vast majority aren't going to like you in the first place. So you're trying to get something from somebody you were never going to get it from. Why waste the effort? Put the effort in where it belongs. Focusing on yourself, focusing on the people who are true and authentic around you, and your family, your friends, that sort of stuff. And that's where your stress and your anxiety is going to go away, and your mental well-being, your self-esteem, all that's it's going to skyrocket at that point. All of your relationships in life will become more fulfilling. Your personal relationships with your girlfriend, your wife, spouse, whatever, boyfriend, your family, they'll all get better. For the most part, there will be some who won't, because they won't like who you are, or they'll want you to be that fake person because it fit their persona, or they might be jealous. That's one thing that I found. The more self-autonomy I gained, the more I didn't care what other people thought, lived by my own values and my own beliefs. There were people who are in my family and in my close circle that they don't like the real me. They wanted the fake version, but that wasn't who I am, and that's what they prefer. So it's okay. You go ahead, be on the outside. I'll just spend less time with you, but you're still part of my life. It's just not as important. And those relationships are better. you'll have the ability to form real and authentic and meaningful connections. You'll have better relationships. You'll have better relationships with a partner, lover, spouse. You'll have better friends by far. Like my friends today are 10 times better than they were even 10 years ago. Even at my age, that's changed that much more. Um, Communication becomes so much easier because at this point, you're being authentic. You're being who you truly are. And the people that are your friends and that are around you, they know who you are because you're being your honest self. You're living by your own values and your own beliefs. You're being authentic. So it's easy to communicate the things that are really difficult or the things that are really important because you'll have realized you let your guard down and only people that you want and that truly want to be around you are there. So your communication is easier. It's better. Everything like you'll form better bonds, stronger bonds, and in your friendships and your relationships, there'll be more empathy because people will know when you're having a hard time and you tell them you are that you're being more realistic. So there's a lot more empathy there, and they're going to know that this is an authentic problem, and we need to actually do something. We need to help you. We need to whatever the case may be. You don't want somebody who's going to just kiss your ass, but we'll tell you the things that you need to do. So anyhow, so with that, we've got some tips and strategies, but I'm going to bring Josh in, and because he had a great point that kind of fits in right about here. So how you doing, Josh?
Hey, what's going on? Can you hear me all right?
I hear you just fine. Yeah, it's your first time using StreamYard, right?
Yeah, that's right. It was pretty simple. Just click the link.
Excellent. Good. Like to keep it simple. So
Yeah, that's right.
Tell me about your point today. It was fantastic when I saw that.
Well, when I saw what you said, it brought to mind something that was personal to me in my journey because I'm a business owner and I didn't start out that way. It's not like I grew up in, a family that owned businesses or anything like that. I had no experience doing that. I spent majority of my 20s as a firefighter and a paramedic. And, it's like a paramilitary organization. You don't go freelancing around doing your own thing, So when you start a business and when you make goals related to that business and you start to get a vision for what you want your life to be surrounding that, I found myself feeling like I had to get permission from people to deem that a worthy goal. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Like you go around and this gets into, I mean, heck, I can save people from reading a whole lot of self-help books right here.
Perfect.
You really, if you've got a goal, like you said, you don't need anybody else's validation for any of this, by the way. You don't need anybody else's permission. The validation is going to come after you believe it for yourself by taking action, not because you went and got validation from somebody. Oh, now I can take action because they think that's an okay idea. No, just do it. And if it doesn't work out, oh well. But you're the guy you're the conductor of your own train, right? So I relate it to business that way. And when you had made that post, the first thing that came to mind was all the times that I foolishly, with me and my big goals that turned out to be pretty darn good ideas and worked out for me and pay me well today. I went out trying to get permission from people that I respected, which is not the worst thing in the world, but you can overdo it. I was out there like bouncing these things out. Hey, what do you think about this? Hey, what do you think about that? Do you think this is a good idea? Do you not? And at the end of the day, you sometimes find out those people aren't really in your camp after all, or you might find out they just don't get it. They don't have the vision. You do. So, take action, do it. Who cares what they say?
100%. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. Trying to remember exactly the point. I don't have that open in front of me here, but yeah, it was something along that lines of you don't need anybody else's permission to chase your dreams.
Yeah.
That was kind of how I interpreted what you said. And you're 100% right. Like you said, you don't need anybody else's permission to go chase your goals or to start a business like you have. The only person's permission you need is your own. Go out there and do it, chase it. Success is not easy to catch. You got to work your ass off and you got to chase it hard. If you're sitting around waiting for somebody else's approval, you're probably not going to catch it.
You're just going to be sitting around
because you're sitting around.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the people who are successful and that achieve something and accomplish it, they're generally chasing so damn hard. They don't care about anybody else's approval, because by the time somebody approves them, they're 4 steps ahead.
Yep. Well, and if you look at, there's great examples out there that you can look at today. Well, Elon Musk is a darn good example. Now, the guy was incredibly talented and obviously had a lot going for him out the gate in terms of his abilities with coding and everything. But the guy went into the financial services industry and disrupted it. You know, had a bunch of people tell him, no, you can't do that. Well, they did it. Went into rocketry. They're like, no, you can't do that. Not only can you not do that, there's no way you're going to land a rocket. Well, turns out. So, I mean, there's great examples like that all across, and you don't have to just look at business. You can look at anything. There's great examples like that of people who didn't care what anybody else thought, didn't need anybody else's validation or permission. They just went and done it. And usually those guys are the visionaries. Those are the guys blazing new trails.
Yep. 100%. One of the greatest ones with that, like you're talking about Elon Musk and is disrupting everything. And, you know, I mean, he's basically, I read he's partnering up or somehow has bought a portion of Google, like the biggest company on the planet. Like, you know, talk about not giving a crap what anybody else thinks and needing anybody else's validation, just going for it.
He was a co-founder of OpenAI, and Microsoft just invested a ton more money into them, and they're baking it into all their products. And he got told by, I think it was actually Bill Gates. Hilariously enough, Bill Gates is like, you don't know what you're doing in AI. Like, you know, stay in your lane. Okay, well, Microsoft is now embedding OpenAI's ChatGPT functionality into all their products.
Yeah. It is a rapidly changing world. Like, you know, we kind of work in the same industry, you know, and it's amazing the change every day. Like every day I'm reading new articles of, oh Jesus, it's gone that direction. I didn't even see that coming. Then the next day, oh, I didn't realize you could use it to do that. It's amazing. Yeah. And the going back to the Elon Musk thing is the other, I can't remember what the number was, 217, 218, something like that. I can't remember the number. The pick of the draft, anyhow, was Tom Brady.
Oh, yeah.
He was the last pick of the NFL draft.
Yeah.
You know, and he didn't care and just went out and did it. Like, there you go. He didn't need anybody's validation. He didn't need anybody else's approval. You know, he was on the sidelines when, who the hell was it? Was it Bledsoe or something like that? I can't remember. I'm not a big NFL guy, but
neither am I. No.
Yeah. Whoever was a quarterback at the time, he was, you know, apparently it was like a little boo-boo. It wasn't a great big injury. I don't know. I don't follow it that closely. So don't crap on me if I'm wrong. I'm a better hockey guy. I'm Canadian. What do you expect? But, you know, he stepped in and never let go. Like, he didn't need anybody else's approval. When he got his opportunity, the hell with it. He grabbed hold of it and refused to let go. Like, you don't need somebody else's approval to go and chase your dreams. Like, go get them. Go get them. And by all means, I want to see you succeed. I don't care what it is or who you are. Go get it.
I think that's a byproduct a lot of where we are in society now too, with how we structure our social lives. Everything occurs on these devices and these platforms that are geared around feedback. You know, does this post get me likes? Does this post? And I think you alluded to this earlier. It's
whoops.
Everything is likes and comments and thumbs up. And when you put your thing out there, whatever it may be, if it doesn't get the response that you feel, whatever level that is, you feel you should get, people like put actual stock in that. and realistically, you know, if you were to go, I've been reading a lot about these Titans guys, Andrew Carnegie and Vanderbilt, and some of these guys from the early years of industry in America. Mm-hmm. And you know, if they were worried about what other people thought of them, I'm trying to think of who it was. There was somebody, they made this massive deal to put X amount of barrels of oil on these trains, right? They were only producing about half of what that deal actually was. And they go back and they're just like, I'm going to have to figure this out. I don't know. I made this deal with this dude and I told him I was going to put, this many barrels in this train. We're at capacity, only making half of that. So I got to sort it out. He doesn't care what anybody else thinks. He's just going to go sort it out,
Yeah.
And we're still talking about that guy to this day because he's a titan of industry.
Everything's named after them, right? Carnegie Hall, Vanderbilt's. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't need anybody's permission.
No, it's, and I guess talk about that a little bit. When you give that up, when you give up the idea or when you give up that belief you're holding on to where you need somebody else's permission, just the freedom that gives you in life.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely gives me freedom. And that's recent in my life. It's been a process ever since I launched my own business, because there's a lot of scary things that happen when you run your own business. You have these great highs, you have these really low lows. And it's just up and down, and you get people that are mad at you for dumb reasons. You get people that are mad at you for good reasons. You might have screwed up or one of your employees screw up. But at the end of the day, if you detach yourself from what everybody else is saying and from the noise, it's liberating.
That's a great way to put it. It's very liberating. Well, Go ahead. Give us a plug on your business. Tell us about it. You're on here. Give us a little insight.
Oh, I don't know if anybody. My thing is, I got a few irons in the fire. I got a home inspection firm that's based out of North Idaho, and so we serve North Idaho and Spokane County over in the Washington side. I have a digital marketing company as well. Although if anybody's listening, you need to hire Bentley, not us. Bentley's got some of those services as well with his own company. And I've got a few other projects going on, the closest of which is a property management company. And so, a few irons in the fire.
Good deal. Yeah. So North Idaho, anybody, if you need your house inspected, you're going to sell it, or hell, even if it's one you've owned for a bunch of years. I know I didn't do that, and I really wish I would have. I owned a house for 12 years, halfway through or a little bit more. I wish I would have had an inspector come in and point out some things that could have fixed early, would have saved me something. Like, there you go. Let's chat about that a little bit. Do homeowners actually do that? Like, if they say somebody's going to own their home for 15 years, do they bring somebody in and look at it, or do they just do it when they're only buying and have these things sneak up on them?
Realistically, most home inspections happen during the transaction. Most people don't even know home inspectors exist until they go to buy a home, and then they're like, oh, and so, yeah, we do a majority of home inspections during the transaction, but you end up with, some people want one every year. And realistically, to me, unless you're, really a construction guy or whatever, and really well-rounded in all the trades, I would have a home inspector come through it's so cheap compared to the problems you can avoid financially down the road. A lot of that comes down to people don't want to spend that money. They don't think about it, and they kick the can down the road. They're like, oh, I haven't noticed anything. Well, it's because the problems are usually in the places you'll never go, like the crawl space or the attic, or on the roof where you're not seeing anything. So annual maintenance inspections are definitely a great idea. And home inspectors are a great person to bring in too, because a home inspector is well-rounded in all aspects of the systems of the house. Whereas you bring in a plumber, obviously is going to be, specific for the most part to the plumbing system. In any trade, you can say the same for their specialty. But even a general contractor, I've found that most contractors haven't seen nearly as much as home inspectors do. Or they don't have, like, they're just, oh, this is the way I've always done it, or, oh, I don't think that's going to be it. But they usually don't see the problem after they bypass that, that potential issue. And not to crap on any contractors, I'm just saying, when you have someone to come in and give you kind of a whole house checkup, and a status report, if you will, on the health of your home inspector is a great idea to bring in.
Yeah, I think so too. I know we've talked briefly about that in the past in our conversations, and they're impartial, right? Like, they're not
Mhm.
The home inspector isn't the guy who's going to fix your plumbing. So he's not going to try to upsell you. He's not going to try to
No.
fix your electrical. He's not going to try to fix your heating and air conditioning. So he's just telling you the things you need to be aware of so that you can maybe catch them when they're small. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, the way I like to describe it as a home inspector is home inspectors are professional generalists, right? They're trained to be on the lookout for evidence of problems across a wide range of things and be able to do that in a matter of 3-4 hours at your property, for an average size house. If you were to hire a plumber, an electrician, all these individual people to come out and do that. Yeah, I mean, obviously a plumber is going to know more about plumbing than a home inspector, the ins and outs of every tiny little detail. But, economically speaking, it's a better idea to bring a home inspector in. They know a lot, or they know a little or a lot about a lot. And so they can spot a lot of things that, maybe even not a general contractor is not going to necessarily notice or pay attention to. And like you said, they should be impartial. I mean, they might have other companies that they own and things like that related to, handyman work or whatever. But as long as they're being transparent about that and just saying, hey, this is my other company, you can hire them if you want, or you can hire somebody else. We don't care.
Yeah. Excellent. Great. Well, thank you very much, Josh. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on and sharing your insight and bringing up that great point, the one I missed. So once again, there you go, people. Like I said, I like people in my life who point out my blind spots. And Josh pointed that one out when I said, seeking validation of others is, you don't need somebody's validation to go chase your goals and chase your dreams. And he's right. I missed that. He pointed it out. This is what a good friend really does. So thanks a lot.
Appreciate you, Bentley.
Hey, no problem, man. Have a good day. Catch you later.
Too. See ya.
See ya. So I've dropped the join link in the chat if anybody else wants to call in. So great, Josh. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. It's great having people on, having conversations and bouncing it back and forth. So like I say, I invite anybody calling in. So kind of expanding a little bit on and carrying on with what we're talking about with Josh is some tips and strategies for practicing your own self-validation like Josh was talking about and I was talking about is you understand what's important to you and you realize that you don't need other people's approval to go get the things that are important to you, because when you're seeking that approval and validation from somebody else, they're going to have you focused on the things that are important to them, not the things that are important to you. And you're not going to accomplish the things you want and feel as great about yourself. So, that's a big thing, is identify what is important to you. Like Josh said, starting his own business and not needing anybody else's approval and chasing his own goals and his dreams. And, he's now got multiple businesses and he's accomplished something. Like you said, started out as a paramedic and a fireman and now has multiple businesses. Like, didn't need anybody's approval. If he was worried about approval, everybody says, oh, get that good job and you make sure you keep it. A good job is the surest way into servitude and basically debt for the rest of your life. I want to see most of you get off your ass, go get a business or multiple businesses. Or even if you are working for somebody else, you're in a like a solopreneurship deal, something like that, where you're a salesman or somebody who works on commission, where you bring such value to the company, you put them in a position where they have to pay you exorbitant amounts of money to keep you. That's the true way to success, and that is the true way to freedom. This gives you that ability to then release the approval from everybody else because you're living on your own terms. That is the biggest tip and strategy I can give you for releasing yourself from the need for validation of others, is live life on your own terms. Realize that the only person that you really truly need to make happy is yourself. Why? Because the only person you really and truly can make happy in your life is yourself. You can't make your wife, your girlfriend, even your children or your parents, you can't make them happy. You can do things that make them proud, but you cannot make them happy. So quit trying to do it. By seeking other people's validation, a lot of the times what you're trying to do is you're trying to make them happy. It's not your responsibility. It's not. The only responsibility you have to making somebody happy in your life is you. So do that. Surround yourself with positive people. Learn to recognize. Here's a big one. I just skipped over that point. Learn to recognize and challenge yourself on negative self-talk. I'm bad for this. Grew up on a farm, small town, small community. I always thought different than everybody else. I always had a very different outlook, and it was always crushed and pushed down because I wasn't scared of who I was. I wasn't scared to say the things that I felt and that I believed, and I wasn't scared to be proud of myself. But in a small community like that, it was seen as bragging, and it was pushed down, and it was crushed. And I really learned to rein that in a lot with negative self-talk. I do a lot of self-deprecating humor, and it's something I'm trying to change and trying to break, because when you talk negatively about yourself out loud, your subconscious hears you and it will believe that. So stop that. When you speak about yourself, you speak proudly of yourself. To speak proudly of yourself means you've got to be doing things the right way. So do things the right way so you can speak proudly about yourself and be proud of yourself. Go chase those dreams, go chase those goals, and don't ever give up on them. Fall down, skin your knee, get back up and go again. And trust me, the people who are really want you to be successful, they're going to cheer when you get back up. We all fall. Who cares? Really, quite frankly, who cares? I've fallen so many times in my life, it's not even funny. I will be back up again tomorrow, and I'll be kicking ass all over again tomorrow. So cultivate that positive inner dialogue with yourself. And it comes from doing exactly those things. As long as you know you're living for your own purpose, to your own values, your own beliefs, it becomes easy to have positive conversations with yourself, to tell yourself these things, and you will start to believe them. Your self-worth will change. This will give you that sense of pride of who you are, and you'll be able to move on. Surround yourself with positive, supportive people. When you're living a true and authentic life to yourself, or of yourself and of who you are, you won't have a whole lot of problem finding positive people that will support you. Because when you are true and authentic to yourself, you will repel all of the bad. A lot of people are going to leave quickly. And that's okay, because if they leave quickly, you probably didn't want them in your life in the first place. So live that authentic life. Be positive about yourself. Speak well about yourself. Hold yourself in a high sense of self-esteem, because you're going to do the things the right way. And when you do that, it's not going to be hard to surround yourself with positive, supportive people who think the same way that you do. There won't be nearly as many of them as there are the conformists who, we need to live life so everybody approves of us. I quite frankly don't care, could give a shit. Literally could give a shit. When you do this and you live this way, the positive and supportive people are going to come in. There might be less of them, but there will be so much more that they give you. There'll be so much more you'll have of yourself to give to them, because you're living in that way where you have that energy and that ability to give it. When you speak positively about yourself, when you live by your own values and you push that, you have more to give to other people that are like that. And those that are, they're going to enjoy being around you. They're going to spend more time with you. So you'll build those positive relationships with people that uplift you, support you. Goes back to something we talked about a few weeks back. Lose track of all these talks. Reduce the influence of toxic relationships, that I talked about before. If somebody doesn't like the new you, the positive you, the not needing everybody else's approval, and they want you to conform, it's probably a toxic relationship. You need to reduce the influence of that. Because like Josh said, you don't need anybody else's approval to go chase your goals and to win. In fact, look at Bill Gates told Elon Musk he shouldn't be playing in AI, like Josh said. Who the hell are you? Stay in your own lane. You don't need somebody else's approval to go for that. Elon decided he's going to build rockets. Well, what are you doing that? The biggest company in the world doing that is the US government. Well, he took them on and he beat them. He didn't need the government's approval to do it. He just went and did it. Like that's what you call taking charge and reducing the influence of the toxic people. Celebrate your successes and your accomplishments, acknowledge that your accomplishments, even the small ones, because when you make that step and you accomplish something, it's a goal. It's progress. It's a step in the right direction. It's that thing I said earlier of, are you a little bit better today than you were yesterday? If you are, it's an accomplishment. You're moving in the right direction. Celebrate that. Get up in the morning, smile, give yourself a little pat on the back. Now go kick today's ass tomorrow. Literally, go kick today's ass tomorrow, which means you're better today than you were yesterday, but you're not as good as you're going to be tomorrow, which means you need to try harder today because tomorrow is going to come kick your ass. And so you need to celebrate the accomplishment of getting better than yesterday and be prepared to take on the challenge of being better tomorrow. And it is a challenge. To be better every day is a challenge. And as you accomplish this challenge, be proud of yourself, acknowledge that accomplishment. So, and when you do have something where you accomplish something great, take the time to celebrate it. Give yourself the credit for it. Like if you are that 1% better every day, you're that little bit better, well, it's only 1%. There's not a whole lot to celebrate, or I shouldn't be terribly proud of myself. Bullshit. Because in 33 days, you are 1/3 better than you were. 1% a day for 33 days is 33%. You are 1/3 better than you were 33 days ago. That's a hell of an accomplishment. Be proud of that. Take a few minutes to take some time, sit back, relax, enjoy that. Have a drink, have a cigar, enjoy some time with some friends. Celebrate and give yourself credit for that success because you did it. You went and worked on it and you accomplished it. So congratulations. Good for you. So just going to kind of wrap up on that, your own self-assurance is of paramount importance. When you start to develop that and work on it for yourself, you'll realize you don't need it from anybody else. And it's so important. It is important to your mental health, your happiness, your relationships, your stress levels, all of it, everything in life. It's just, the benefits of it are incredible. Your well-being will improve all the way around. And you'll feel empowered to do more. And that's the greatest part about it. When you realize you don't need anybody else's assurance, you don't need anybody else's validation. God, I've said that word enough tonight. I feel like I'm freaking stuffing the keyword stuffing the talk. But anyhow, when you sidetrack, brain fart, lost it. Anyway, when you have your own sense of that self-validation, the empowerment that comes from it is so great that you're going to have that desire to do even more. And it's at that point that you will really start to push those barriers and those boundaries. And that's when your real development will come in. Like Josh, great example, paramedic, firefighter, now multiple business owner. Most people don't go from being a paramedic and a firefighter to multiple business owners because, it's that whole thing. He realized he didn't need anybody else's approval to go chase success. And he went out and chased it. He's still chasing it today. Like, congratulations. Good job, Josh. Way to go. Proud of you, man. Doesn't need anybody else's approval. We've had a couple of great conversations personally, and I love it. The impact of that is amazing on your overall happiness and well-being. So, looks like I don't have anybody else calling in here. I did drop the join chat there in the comments, but can't read them. Got to put the old guy goggles on, but gonna run through those, see what we got. Yeah. What we got? Just a bunch of stuff. Hey, there you go. Read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I've started that book. I haven't finished it. I need to work on that one, Chris. Yeah, that was a good credit of how Kiyosaki said that his poor dad, which was his real dad, how they were all about get the job, do the thing, be like everybody else. And the rich dad was like, no, you don't do that. You live for yourself, self empowerment, your self worth. Those are the things you go for. That's what I've got out of the book so far, and I haven't even finished it yet. So that's a great point to this is you don't need that from somebody else. Go do it yourself. I mean, God, guy's like a billionaire. So I think he kind of knows something. You might want to take some of his advice, a whole lot more than mine. So anyhow, and ain't that a fact? Most people don't even try. They're exactly 0% better today than they were yesterday. 100%. I like once a week or so. Yeah, maybe once a week, once every 10 days, something like that. I go down to the local pub, have dinner and a drink, and watch a hockey game or something like that, just to get out and socialize a little bit. Because most of the people around here think differently than I do. So it's just a part of life. I enjoy it where I am, but there's some things I don't like about it. But I go down there and literally in the 4.5 years that I lived here, nobody has changed. Nobody has taken any steps towards their own getting better. It's just status quo. And every single day I'm working hard at it, trying to do more, trying to do better. And it's when you have that sense of, I don't need somebody else's approval, I'm just going to go and do it anyways, you really will begin to notice this stuff. I didn't realize it the first 2 years I lived here, but as time has gone on, I sure see it. It's the blinders have come off, and I'm realizing this more and more all the time. That's a great point, that most people are absolutely 0% better. So, yeah, we had you on before as a caller. You're 100% right. You can suck and fail, and it's oddly liberating. Absolutely. I fail and make mistakes every single day, every day. And I try to learn from them. I try to keep them small as possible, but I make them every day. Making mistakes, should ask Josh that on. I don't know anybody who owns a business and is successful in life who hasn't made mistakes along the way. That is, I saw a graph on that a while ago of lessons learned from school was about this big. Lessons learned from life was about this big. Lessons learned from mistakes was about this big. And that's a fact. Take it from somebody who had some experience making a lot of mistakes. Those are where you learn your lessons. That's where you actually learn something. So it goes back to the thing we talked about when you were on as a caller. And I hope things are going better for you, man. I really do. I hope you're chasing that and embracing that, because anybody who tells you that they're scared of failure is lying to themselves. They're lying to you too, but they're lying to themselves most of all. If you are scared of failure, you are truly scared of success, because you can't succeed without failing along the way, because the biggest lessons you're going to learn that are going to lead you to success are going to come from failure. So learn to accept it and embrace failure. I accept it and I embrace it. I'm going to make mistakes again tomorrow when I get out of bed. I'm going to make mistakes the day after that. I'm going to learn lessons from them. I'm going to be better. I'm going to build a better business. I'm going to build a better life, because I'm going to learn those lessons. It's, try to learn lessons from other people who've made mistakes, because you're not going to live long enough to make them all. You're going to make your own. So surround yourself with people who are smarter than you, who will give you these lessons, but don't be scared to go out and make your own. Don't be scared to go out and make some mistakes. Take some advice from smart people to avoid the great big ones, but don't be scared to skin your knee along the way. That's where the real success comes in from anyhow. So anyway, I'm going to leave you with that. Oh, hey, just saw it. Bring in Jaron. How's it going, Jaron?
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me, see me, all that good stuff?
I hear you. I see you. You're loud and clear.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't popped on the show in a while, and I saw you put out the bat call, so I figured I might as well jump on for a minute here. How's everything been with you? Ready for Miami?
I am almost ready. I'm about half packed. I'm excited.
I just got all my new linen wardrobe back from the tailor sitting on the counter. So I'm going to shower up and try it on, and hopefully he fit it right.
So you're going to make me look bad with tailored clothes, aren't you? You son of a bitch.
Well, it's tough because I'm a minimalist, but I'm trying to upgrade my wardrobe. So when I've done Miami things or Cuban weddings or any tropical destination type events before, I've always had like a really nice linen suit or linen threads. And since I did the whole digital nomad thing for a few years, really it's just the V-necks and jeans I wear every day with a pair of clean boots, and that's about it. So now that I have an apartment and I have a place I can consider my home base, then I was like, you know what, I'm in Mexico, so there's linen everywhere and there's tailors everywhere. So I figured, I'll give it a go. Yeah.
Cool. Right on. Well, looking forward to hanging out with you down there for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting quite a few of the guys. Good topic, by the way, too. I was looking at the title there, and one thing that I've noticed in terms of not seeking validation from other people, that's the first step. But also, I've gotten to a point where it's hard, and it sounds like you and I have a similar experience growing up on a farm in a small town. And I'm sure I get this all the time. My sister will send me pics. She and I have a very close relationship. We talk almost daily. She'll send me a pic. She's like, "Hey, I found a fat pic of you." It's like me, because I was obese as a kid, like shoving cake in my face with my big Coke bottle glasses, and I had an afro because my hair is really curly. It grows out. It doesn't grow down. So I keep it short. And she'll always tell me, she's like, "Yeah, I just thought I should send this to you to keep you humble." And you realize, okay, well, that kind of sticks with you. I've had a hard time. I'm getting better at it lately of telling people, you know what? I'm really good at that. I'm extremely proficient in that. And when I do that, a lot of people roll their eyes. I was just telling a buddy on the call earlier. I was like, bro, I've never met a white guy who speaks Spanish as well as I do. And I don't think I ever will, because I'm going to do a course on that here very shortly. I haven't done content in a while, so I'm kind of pivoting my channel strategy. It's more about the location independence thing, how to live abroad, how to do it well. I have a network of guys here that are just crushing it at life. So we're sharing experiences. I want to get more guys on the channel that are already doing that in whatever countries. I'll start with Mexico City and then expand out from there. So whole new channel strategy, whole new brand. That'll be coming down the pike shortly. So I haven't done content, but I've noticed when I'm having these meetings with people, I'll tell people like the game topics. A lot of guys in this space don't like talking about that. And you're like, hey man, like when it comes to getting Latin girls, I've got it down. Like I've never had a problem with that. Not only do I not have a problem with that anymore, I look around. I've been in this body for 35 years now, and I try to be pretty objective. I look around, and no one has it down like I do. But when you say that, you'll get the naysayers, you'll get the haters, and you'll get the people like, okay, yeah, whatever. They'll roll their eyes, they'll laugh, and they'll chuckle. And that used to really bother me. And that's something that stuck me, going back to that humble comment. But now it's to the point where when I get those types of reactions, I'm like, all right, they recognize it. They know what's up, because otherwise there'd be no reaction. They wouldn't say anything, like, and they think to themselves, okay, that guy's full of shit or doesn't know what he's talking about. But that's one thing. Some of the biggest guys in the space, like the Andrew Tate guys, I can see why he turns a lot of people off, because he has kind of a braggadocio about him. But when you look at him, it's like, if I live that life, I'd have the same attitude. If I was a badass kickboxing champion, I'd let everybody in the fucking world know about it. Why would you not self-promote? That is ridiculous. And
100%.
so that's my 2 cents, because that's something sometimes in these spaces, and you know this too, you help guys out all day long. Like I have guys that reach on Instagram all day. They're asking dating questions. I had a guy ask for DEXA scan questions, TRT advice, location independence advice, how to get your Mexican residency. So all day long, I'm chatting with these guys. But sometimes you have to take a step back and be like, oh, you know what? I'm working on stuff too. And what I'm currently working on is the brand pivot, the rebrand, and then also being more self-promotional, getting it out there like, hey guys, I'm really good at this. I'm not the best. I'm not an expert, but comparatively to everyone that I meet in my day-to-day interactions, I've got this down. So here's what you should know about this topic. And I think that's something that whatever that topic is to you, you should keep to heart. As far as letting people know, like, hey, I'm good at this. I've got this down. I can provide value. I can help you. I can address these blind spots that you might have in that specific area in your life. And then to the contrary, other people, when you recognize that they have talent, like, hey man, like, how are you doing that? Or how'd you figure that out? Or let me in on that little secret. And you create some really cool relationships doing that.
100%. Absolutely. That's one of the best things when you are authentic to yourself like that, and you embrace that, is you'll meet people who are doing things like Jared and I, and anybody who thinks that he isn't getting to success, I've seen his phone when we were in Jackson this summer. Trust me, he's getting it. He's killing
It's
it.
a problem. It's something I have to actively manage to reduce.
Tough problem
Yeah.
to have, bro.
I like having good problems. Yeah.
That's a good
When you
problem to
level
have.
up, guys, you do have better problems.
Absolutely.
We have these discussions in our private groups all the time, and they're fantastic. Like, I'm making too much money. I don't know what to do with it. Or I can live anywhere in the world. How do I choose what country to live in? These are very good problems to have. So
Yes.
sometimes it might feel like you're a failure, but ask yourself, what kind of problems do you have? It's a problem like, oh, well, it ruined my whole day was ruined because Tiffany at work said something about me, and then Cindy chuckled, and now I'm going to let it ruin my entire week. I'm going to go home and get drunk. I'm not going to go to the gym. I'm going to eat like shit, and that's going to spiral into this negative self-fulfilling prophecy or feedback loop. Don't do that. But when you start having good problems, like, hey, my phone's blowing up, and like I'm busy, like a lot of guys, and Bentley, you know these guys, we get them in the groups every now and then. They're like, oh, I got a new Tinder match. Like, guys, look, I got a new Tinder match for me. I'm just like, ding, and I look at my phone. I'm like, oh, damn it, you distracted my attention for just a Tinder match. Like, I don't have those notifications on, but that's just an example.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So your problems get better as you get better.
I'm hoping to get into that problem soon of making too much money. I'm not there yet. So, that's part of the pivoting and surrounding yourself with the right people. Like I said earlier about, surround yourself, be authentic to who you are, and the right people will surround themselves with you. I mean, I am starting over in life, like 50 years old. I'm wiped out and starting over in life. And by being authentic and putting myself out there like I have, I've surrounded myself with guys like Jaron and other guys in our networking group. There's like uber multi-millionaires in this group, and these guys have conversations and talk to me, and they want to see nothing for me but to succeed.
And they invite you to hang out with you. They invite you to spend a week at their Jackson Hole cottage, or the same guy that owns that. When he comes here to Mexico City because his wife's from here, we go out, we hang out. I'm like, I'm hanging out with a guy. He's probably worth he's probably not a millionaire. He probably has 100 million is what I'm thinking. And I think we have a couple billionaires in the group. The ones I'm thinking of are probably pop into your head, but they kind of keep that close to the vest.
Down low. Yep. So yeah, I mean, and this is where and at the end of the day, these guys have the same problems we do. They're just on a larger scale. But the cool part is, you'll realize that you can relate. So this comes back to the things I've said before. Learn to solve problems, because as you get more successful, you're going to deal with the same problem. It's just going to be on a much larger scale, but you actually handle it the same way. It's actually dealt with exactly the same way. It's just a multi-million-dollar problem rather than a couple $100,000 problem or a $10,000 problem. It's still the same problem. It's still the same formula, and it's still the same solution. It's just a bigger number. When you wrap your head around this, you realize, wow, I actually have what it takes to be that. I've realized that just this year. I have what it takes to be that, and I will be. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, I'm getting to that point too. Or I'm starting to notice that most of my day I think I'm overcommitted on a few projects, and I'm overworking myself to the point of almost burnout. I've talked to a couple guys in the group about that, how to avoid that, because I've gotten bitten by that entrepreneur bug. Other things I figured out in other areas of my life. So it's like, okay, what's next? Obviously the money thing, and I've always done pretty well career wise. So I got to the point where a lot of people fall into is like corporate complacency, where your income's high enough to where, and you become an expert to where you can take a job a bit beneath your pay scale that you can do in your damn sleep. And then you just don't really excel or progress in life anymore. So my big thing here is getting more to the side where I'm not trading time for money more, that I'm building systems, I'm putting products out there and things that can convert while I sleep. And in doing that, and I'm taking the initial steps in that shift, I realize that most of my day, and I have been overworked these last few months, but it's exciting. I wake up because I literally get to solve problems all day long through my various things. To my corporate clients, I'm advising 2 startups right now. Bentley, one of the CEOs, said he'll meet up with us for a lunch in Miami. And then any other guys in the group that want to talk marketing, he said, hey, make it an open forum. You can bring whoever you want. So I'm looking forward to that Miami thing for the networking. But really, and this I learned from Moff and developing the social side of my game, because I'm naturally an introvert. I had to develop all these social skills over the years, but Moff is a connector. He's like, oh, you have this problem? Well, I know a guy that can solve that for you. And then he doesn't really do anything because he doesn't necessarily have the solution if it's outside of his scope of knowledge, but he's the hero because he put these two people together, and that goes and promotes, or that pushes a reputation forward. So I'm working on that too. I'm definitely looking forward to that. This upcoming Miami trip, but most of the day it's literally between all my computers and all my devices. It's just bing, bing, bing message across all of these different work environments I have. But all day long, I realized that, okay, I'm just solving problems. And this is a Rich Cooperism, like, hey, if you want to make money, solve problems. And I've noticed very recently that the more problems I can solve in a more efficient manner, there's a direct correlation between the ability to do that and my income. Again, now I'm still trading time for money, but now I'm working this week. I'm looking at launching my first course of very, very, very comprehensive, very robust, not really red pill or manosphere type topics, digital marketing 101. Sometimes I forget because I touch these topics all the time. Like, oh, I have a master's degree in marketing. I've worked in international marketing companies. I've worked for Fortune 100 companies my whole career, and I've advised some startups from $0 to $100 million that have sold. So I kind of know what I'm doing there too. And that's a broader market. I might be able to make some money on that. So I'm doing a digital marketing 101 course this week because a lot of the questions that people ask about things, start jotting them down. And you're like, you know what? I can get the answers out there at a more massive scale. So some more, again, some internal attitude shifts and some different ways of looking at the world and building new frameworks to help propel you forward. But yeah, definitely exciting stuff, Ben. I'm looking forward to seeing you again in Miami, and we'll get a lot more into the weeds in terms of what you've got going on, what I've got going on, and what the guys in the group have going on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Try and get some of these guys pushed forward. Your marketing stuff, you're helping me. You've given me bits and pieces here and there that have helped me grow and accelerate my offer, and have, they're helping me close. Like I had Henry, and one of his guys gave me a piece earlier this week, and it was like, oh, that's basically what I was doing, but I didn't realize there was a title to it. So I actually wrote a blog post and put it on my forum on my website here this week, of doing a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Did you get that template I sent you? Because I templatize everything.
I know.
If I do it once and it works, I'm like, all right, just repeat the process, and you get better every time.
From you. Yeah, I've learned that from you. I've started processing and stepping everything out. So everything has a process now that it's, now when I take somebody on to build a website, I've got a 30-step chart that I go through, and I go through step by step. I follow them all. It's smooth. And I give this to my client. My client never, ever wonders what we're doing or what's coming next, because they have this sheet, and I literally tell them, okay, we've completed step 8. We're going to step 9. Have you got things in place? Because at step 14, you need to start supplying content. So there's no surprise. Like, it's not, hey, where's your content? Oh, crap, I've got to get that to you. Let me get on that. It's like, no, you've had this chart. You've known step by step what we're doing. You've known since step 1 that at step 14, I need that content. And we've been getting closer along and you haven't been paying attention. This is on you, not on me. Like, you have it in writing.
That's an internal rule I have myself, that I am never the bottleneck. And I do have some OCD tendencies. Guys in Rich's group that have stayed with me, they're like, bro, you are kind of a nerd. You are kind of OCD, because they see how I manage my space and all the little micro systems I have in place in my life to just not have to exhaust a lot of mental energy into activities that can be automated, essentially, even if it's just shit you're doing solo. So I have one of my internal rules is that I am never the bottleneck. So the client knows exactly what's going on. If something's not getting done, guess what? It's always on them. And I'll poke them, I'll ping them, I'll kind of push them, kick them in the ass a little bit. But if it gets to the point where the client's just not getting shit to me, then this is something I learned years ago in my career. And it's really tough the first time, is dropping your clients. Back when I had an English language consultancy firm 15 years ago here in Mexico, we had some pretty big clients. And my first client that I dropped, at the time, it was 50% of our monthly revenue was Toyota, just because it was such a pain in the ass contract to manage. Oh, they were huge. We'd take expat native English speakers. We'd put them on our accelerated English language instruction program. So I learned Spanish really quickly. I learned it in a couple months, and then I was able to enroll as a Mexican student. So I just reverse engineered that process to English, and we'd sell it to Mexican business executives. So Toyota was our biggest client. That really made our day, but they were such a pain in the ass to manage that contract. It was always late on payment, people not showing up, and complaints, and they were just a pain in the ass client. So we dropped them, and they couldn't believe it. When we went into the management office, and they're just like, do you know who we are? I'm like, do you know who we are? I mean, we work with PwC, we work with Ernst Young, we work with Berkshire Hathaway, we work with all of the major accounting firms, investment firms here in Mexico, we don't need you, Toyota. But that we took a big hit in revenue. And I remember that was a big lesson for me as far as you can break up with your clients. You don't have to wait for your client to fire you. If they're not getting things done, or if they're not working the program, then get them out of here. Because I'd rather onboard more people that can follow the sequence and actually see the results.
Yeah, I'm with you on that 100%. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting together with you and learning some more of these processes and getting them down a little bit better, because I found things move so much better, so much more smoothly. So, and some of them I'm, in my past life didn't need them, like running a CRM. Everybody says, well, you ran a business before. What do you mean you don't have a CRM? No, when I ran my trucking business, I had 5 clients and I phoned them every week. That was my CRM. Hi, Kat, how are you doing? Hi, Komatsu, how are you doing?
The good CRM, old boy business model. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas now I'm trying to grow and network and interact with a bunch of clients everywhere and get more. So this is an entirely new world for me, and I'm learning, which I like it. I like the challenge of it. So like Jaron said, find problems and solve them. And you'll find that the better you get at solving problems, you become faster at it, more efficient, and they go by quicker and easier. And it gets easier.
Yeah, and it's one thing, and a lot of problems people ask me, like, hey, man, I'm having trouble with this. Well, these are things that I had problems with. I had to solve them for myself. Yeah. And Bentley, I don't know if it was you, it might have been someone else in Rich's group and I think a lot of guys share this story whereas like I didn't have any positive male older role models growing up. I was always coachable. I always wanted to improve, but no one ever took me under their wing like, hey, here's how you train. Here's how you diet. Oh, you want to get better at baseball? Here's how you do that. You're kind of a liability once you get on base. You have a high on base percentage, but once you get on base, you're a liability. Here's how you get quicker on your feet. No one ever did that for me. And when I was growing up, yeah, we had the internet, but it was still in its very infant phase. I think Google came out when I was in college, and Facebook came out when I was graduating college. So the world has sped up, and all of this information is now at your fingertips. So these things that we had to figure out on our own, like, guys, if you're having some of these problems, I mean, reach out to guys like me or Bentley or anyone else in this space, because you can get the answers a lot quicker, and you can learn from other people's mistakes. And then the cool thing is, like, the first time I had to learn something for myself, it took me a lot of trial and error, a lot of pain, a lot of heartache, a lot of money, a lot of nights where I'm like, how the fuck am I going to pay for my rent? Where's my next meal going to come from? And then you move past that. Sometimes you forget about it. And then someone else reaches out there in that same exact spot, and you're like, oh, I can reduce the misery for this person tenfold. Yeah. Like they don't have to suffer like I did. And then not only do they not suffer, but they see the results, and they come back like, oh, dude, that totally works. Thank you. And that is so fulfilling. And that helps you on your own personal journey, which is why I really enjoy. I've always been drawn to these spaces or these topics. And Bentley, like you said, growing up, I always thought differently. Everyone knew that I was an odd duck. They all knew I was a weirdo. And it took me a while to embrace that as part of my personality now. Even with the game stuff, like I was always, and I advise guys that follow Red Pill content, don't be like too cool for school or always alpha all the time. Chicks see right through that bullshit.
Yes, and they do.
A big problem for me is like, I need to embrace the nerdy side of myself. I need to embrace the oddball, kind of the unique factor of my personality, and then allow these parts of my personality. And we all have very dynamic personalities. We all wear different faces in different situations, but allow this to be on full display in the right moments. There's a time and place for everything. And you become a much more dynamic person and a much more interesting person. And things that I was afraid of, like, well, what if people know the real me? Well, turns out people like it. And people that don't, they're the same people that didn't like me when I was growing up. They're fucking idiots. The same guys I was bigger than everyone else in school, so no one tried to bully me, but I was a fat kid. They tried once or twice, and then I teach me a lesson pretty fucking quick. But in my head, I always knew these guys were a bunch of fucking retards. I knew I knew that I was better than them. So that's the same response now. And someone's like, "Oh, well, Jared doesn't really live in Mexico." I literally have people comment that Jared doesn't live in Mexico. That's Mexico City right there, guys. It's right there. Jared doesn't live in Mexico. I'm like, oh, this guy's an idiot. This guy's a fucking retard. And then that's it. And laugh at them, because obviously they want to be laughed at. Otherwise, they wouldn't say something so ridiculous for the amusement of people like me or yourself.
Yeah. And largely when the people that, when you are living your true and authentic self like this, and you don't need anybody else's approval, the great part with it is when you get the people that do this, you realize what it is that they don't even realize themselves, is that they are totally jealous of the fact that you don't need anybody else's approval. You live life on your own terms, and you really don't care. And they're jealous. So the only thing they can do is throw shit at you, hoping to bring you down, because they know they can't get to your level. So they're trying to pull you down.
Yeah, it's like on Rich Cooper's show, the first couple episodes I went on, I got blown up in the comments pretty bad. But also, well, with your channel, when you're new, it takes a little bit of experience and practice being on camera and how to speak to an audience. And then sometimes they do provide good feedback, but 80% of the comments are pure nonsense. I'll have guys say something like, oh, the other day, like just some examples. Like, oh, you can't lose a 6-pack in 3 weeks if you don't go to the gym. Yeah, you can. I've done it before. I showed my fat loss tracker on the generals meeting Saturday morning. I'm a nerd. It's documented. Every single day is documented. Yeah, yes, you can. And here's the data to prove it. I'm like, and that used to be my initial response. And now it's like, oh, this guy's an idiot. Like this guy's never had a 6-pack and lost one in 3 weeks, because otherwise he'd know that's very possible. Any professional bodybuilder, they do peak week. When they get on stage, they're emaciated. They're in terrible health condition, and then usually afterwards they drink a beer, they hit up a Chinese buffet, and then a lot of them look better the next day once they have that huge carb load, because their body's like literally in a disease state at that point. Now, if you've never done that, you wouldn't know that. So you have to identify these in those comments. Or again, go back to the guys like, Jared doesn't live in Mexico. I'm like, you're dumb. I don't. There's nothing for you.
There's nothing more to say that.
You can go on Instagram. I post shit every day. They're like, oh, you don't speak Spanish? I'm like, I sing in Spanish. I'm actually working on a music project with a Mexican pop star right now. I want to record on August 1st. She wants to push it up and record on April 1st, but cool. I'm going to be busy. But I have songs where I'm singing in Spanish on my Instagram. What are you talking about? Like, I don't speak Spanish. I'm like, okay. I did my thesis down here. I'm published in Spanish. What are you talking about?
Very odd. Yeah. Very odd. Yeah, that's like you said, the bodybuilders, and I've dated a couple of fitness girls, and they're fun, literally. I mean, it depends what you're into. I personally, I like that, so it's sexy as fuck. But they literally, the competition is done. Like you said, it is beer and pizza, and 2 days later, her 6-pack is gone.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It happens that fast. It's really quite amazing.
Yeah, once you learn how the human body works, you can manipulate it in your favor. Yeah. I'm in the last week of my cut from Miami, so I'm at the point where no more added salt, no more lactose, no dairy, no cheese. I love cheese with everything. No fatty cuts of meat. So getting the peak week, so to speak. So
I'm all screwed up for it. So I hit the Yandex. Did you hear about the Yandex source code got leaked?
No, I didn't. Now, I don't ever follow the news anymore.
Okay. So Yandex is Russia's Google, for those who don't know. And they share an awful lot of this. Like, it's built by mostly ex-Google employees. So the stuff that works for marketing, ranking, and stuff like that on Google works almost the same way on Yandex. So people experiment back and forth between the two search engine algorithms to find out what works and what doesn't. Yandex's source code was accidentally leaked as to the ranking strategy and how things are calculated. And it's clearly done by the ex-Google employees, because half of each code snippet is in English and the other half is in Russian. So you couldn't just take it and dump it into a translator, because it would try to translate the English from Russian to English, but it was already English. And so I started separating out the Russian and translating that and putting it back in, and got sick of that, built JavaScript code to just transfer it all over and do it, and started going through. There's like 2,000 different, not quite, just about 2,000 different parameters, and trying to go through, finding the things that, the little tricks that a lot of people don't do, so you can figure out how to get results where other people can't. Because that's always the edge, is where can I get results that somebody else isn't? What is my edge to get something over somebody else? And that's the thing you're looking for. So I've been pouring for the last 6 days. I don't think I've slept 3 hours a day, just pouring over all of this data.
Oh, I've been obsessed with learning these new AI tools, because Alex Hormozy did a video recently in terms of like, use AI to make yourself rich or something like that. And a lot of people are like, okay, well, it's doing the work for me, or it's not as good. But I approach it from this mindset, and it seems like Alex Hormozy does too. Like, if you're already an expert in an area and you know the right questions that need to be asked, then really all it does is does your research for you, and it creates an outline, or it creates copy. I still copy edit. I still go back through and I put in anecdotal experiences, the things that you have to have 20 years of experience to understand, like the algorithm or the AI bot can't do that for you. But what it can do is it can save you a lot of just the bullshit operational day-to-day stuff, research and copy paste, and how do I reword this, or does this flow nicely with this? It does all of that for you. So in terms of improving my output and productivity, I'm learning these AI tools. And so this whole week I've been obsessed with getting the workflows down. Some of the agencies I advise for, they're like, well, you know, we need a content marketing plan. It's like, I'm just going to let you guys know, I'm not going to write a single fucking blog here. But what I will do is you can outperform everyone competitively, and I'll give you the workflows, and then I'll put the people in place that can execute these workflows. So I'm getting excited. So like now, whenever there's a new tool or technology that comes out, you always want to be first. You want to be the early adopter. If you get it on the hype curve when everyone's like, oh my God, have you heard about this? And everyone's getting involved, it's too late. Like things like drop shipping or whatever. The geo arbitrage thing, like Mexico City's getting overrun with foreigners. So we were talking today, me and some of the other players here in town. We have a private group, and we're like, yeah, might have to get out of Mexico City because it's getting like the irritating gringos, the ones we make fun of in these spaces. Did you see in the generals chat, like this Karen? We got this Asian guy laid the other day. And so we're all congratulating him. We were at dinner, and then the Karen, she didn't give it to me. She didn't give it to any of the other guys. The Asian guy that really, you know, had some social skills that he needed to develop, and some cultural skills too, because there's intercultural considerations. We're congratulating him, like, dude, yeah, he's finally getting laid. And then so this girl like passive aggressive note, like, hey fellas, just should let you know, I overheard your entire conversation, and in my opinion, you shouldn't move here. We don't want you here. I'm like, bitch, you don't even speak Spanish. Like you're talking on behalf of Mexico City. Like I went to fucking college down here and played ball. We don't want you here. How do I know? Because I hang out with Mexicans all day long, and they can't stand people like you. We made fun of people like you, and so these are the people coming to this city. It's getting oversaturated. But thinking back, like, okay, well, why do I do so well here compared to other foreigners? It's because I lived here 20 years ago. I was way ahead of the curve. Same thing with AI, Chat GPT, same thing with whatever the new emergent technology is, whatever the new emergent way of thinking is, get ahead of the curve, and then everyone else will always be playing catch up to you. So that got me really excited, like exploring some of these new technologies, like, oh my God, this is going to take my output to the next level. And I can't wait.
That's why I've been just diving headlong into the Yandex code is exactly that, trying to get ahead of, because I'm sure everybody's going to find it within the next week or two, but I'm hoping to be a week or two ahead of everybody and kind of working away at it. So, all right, you get in on Wednesday in Miami, right?
Yeah, I take off here at 5:55 p.m. So I believe I get in, I don't know, 8, 9 p.m. East Coast time.
So, yeah. So I guess we've gone way long today than we normally have. We should probably
wrap. My bad. I'll make your show do that.
Hey, I love it.
Your content.
I love rapping with it. It's awesome, man. So anyhow, we'll see you. We'll catch you.
I'll see you on the post. Yeah, I'll see you on the post call here in a minute.
You betcha. So have a good one, man. Take care. So yeah, like Jaron said, we do a post call for the stuff we can't talk about on YouTube and whatnot, and have fun with that. And so because I'm going to Miami, I don't think I'm going to have a show next week. I'm not sure if I do. It might be exactly like this. It might be Jaron, me, and a few of the other guys that are hanging out down there. We might actually just literally do it with a beer and a drink and a cigar from the couch or out back on the patio or something like that at the Airbnb. I really don't know. Don't count on it, but it might happen. So it'll be one of those things. It probably won't be announced. It'll just be a live pop on. And so if you want to catch that, it'd be great. There'll be no particular subject. It'll be really free form, free flowing. So that's what's going to happen next week. The following week, I'll be back to my regular schedule, but so that's going to be the first one I'm going to miss since I started this gig, but would be kind of cool if it works out. We can have it down there. It's just a matter of, can I bring all the gear with me? Can we get it set up? I don't know. So I don't want to make a promise I can't keep. So just stay tuned. It might work. It might not. But anyhow, with today's thing, the whole thing with self-validation and self-assurance, I want to leave you with this. Put together a good little quote is, embrace the power of self-validation today. Remember, the only validation you need is you. By learning to love and accept yourself just as you are, you open the door to a life filled with greater happiness, fulfillment, and authentic relationships. So take the first step and start the journey towards a life validated by the only opinion that truly matters, yours. With that, have a great day.